So let's get to machine learning, and we are getting toward the end because it's a hot topic now. These are some of the photographs from the, my paintings, and what I did is I just collected 800 of them, and they're not really consistent. Some of them are like the full frame, showing the frame. Some of them are close-ups, so they have like blurs and so on and so forth. Trained a model. And then I receive these outputs, right? So the interesting thing is, these are not my paintings, but they have something from my paintings, which is very compelling. And I think it's a good way to build an understanding about what machine learning is doing, right? So machine learning is trying to capture some patterns repeating all the time that we cannot 100% capture and use. So we can use this in a very smaller scale, but machine learning is helping us to, use very large data sets and capture some patterns, which are, let's say, somehow there, and then produce and give us back something which is the extension of our work. So this is how I kind of like see these things, right? So it's an extension of from my style, let's say, which I can kind of use for question mark what. So that's the next step. But of course there are things, right? So this is the image on the left is the one that comes out. It's the generated image, so which doesn't have that much of contrast. So I have to, let's say, play with it a little bit to see more. But at the same time, there are some moments in which these sort of things appear. And I was like, what is that circular thing, right? Where is that coming from? And I was like, oh, there was that one single painting which had those speckles on it, right? So it's interesting that it captures both the shape, but also the frequency, right? So this is obviously only one single painting, and it's not that frequent, but it's still there. So it ends up creating, these, let's say, circular things. And I just keep playing, to be honest. And one thing that I did was just taking each and every painting and transforming into like this tectonic form. And it came out of just kind of like playing for a long time with the images and so on and so forth. So as the single entity, it looks interesting. And again, it's not a product, it's not a building, it's not this, it's not that, it's just a visual kind of exploration. But once you start blending them, it started this like super weird, like morphing tectonic form. And I see it's pretty interesting because you can not really catch what's happening, but everything is, every form is suggesting some other, let's say, architectural idea. One is a, like very open, let's say, or very kind of like piecemeal structure, whereas other one is this, like weird tower or mountain-like thing, and so on and so forth. So it's just a way, let's say, thing that I'm playing with now. Okay. So what's happening with all these things? I think what I'm trying to say is keep playing, create meaning, and be critical. Okay, how are we going to be critical? So this is interesting, but it's not an old question. This is Albert Dürer, one of his engravings from 1514, and he's depicting himself in this engraving. That's his doppelganger, this angel sitting there. And at this time, he said, "I don't know what is beautiful." So it's a pretty interesting question, because if you look around him, he has all methods and tools and devices of computation. Okay, so he has the magic squares, he has the, hourglass for the time, he has the scale for the weight, he has the ladder to climb, hammer to hit and knife to cut, and so on and so forth. So these are our Grasshopper plugins that are, like there are like 10,000 of them. What do you do with them? This is very important. So they were not available 15 years ago, right? So you had if you had a problem, you would better, sit and code it out, or good luck. Now you have all of them, or we have all of them. What do we do with them, right? So, or how do you find what is quote unquote beautiful in Albert Dürer's term? It doesn't have to be beauty all the time. It can be also performance or this and that, right? So we have to kind of have a very strong filter about that. And I think that comes from not the tool or the technique, but it comes from being human, right? So because the tools and techniques are just going to keep growing, you will have AI, VR, AR, like whatever you can think of. And the things that we don't have today, they're going to be possible in 5 years, but we're going to be still more or less, same people with a little more knowledge, right? So we have to put that Photoshop skills there. We have to put the human insight next to Intel Insight all the time. So it was right timing, that's fine. So all of these things that I talked about, I keep writing about them, and they're all published on Medium. So you can say why parts do not exist and wholes are not ensembles, why letting descriptions go make us more innovative, and how you can make, use copying as a mode of creativity, and so on. So if you're interested, please visit the Medium. You can find all of that information that I shared with you. The best place to connect is LinkedIn. Otherwise, my website or Medium or YouTube.